Hello everyone, I'm Dominique Kamara, and today's video topic will be all about the topic of idolatry. Now you may be wondering, am I committing idolatry, or what exactly is it? Well, hopefully that this video will clear those questions up for you and maybe even lead to some change in your life. So please stay tuned if you are wanting to know more about this. But before we get started, I would like for you all to like this video, share the video, comment, and subscribe for more videos like this one. So let's get started. All right, so let's go ahead and define idolatry. So essentially, idolatry is the worship of images or statues made to represent God or any other deity. So we see in the Bible, in not only the Old Testament, but the New, we see where the Israelites were worshiping other gods. So they would worship these stone-made images. You know, they would carve out these images of a god and would bow down and worship to them. They would say that this God helped them out of Egypt. This God did all these things for them, when in actuality it was the one true God who had helped them. But they ascribed their freedom to this random God. And a lot of times they were worshiping Egyptian gods or just gods of the people that they were, the nations that they were living among. And God was not pleased with that. He made it very clear to them that they were to worship only him. He also didn't want them making any stone carvings or representations of him either. So they did a lot of things that they shouldn't have done. And like I said, we see that in the Old Testament and also in the New Testament, where people were physically bowing down to these representations of a god or a deity. And so in the New Testament, Paul kind of expanded on the scope of idolatry, because you may be thinking, well, I don't bow down to an actual stone image. So there are different forms of idolatry, and Paul made them clear in Colossians 3:5-10. So he says, therefore, put to death what belongs to your earthly nature: sexual immorality, impurity, lust, evil desire, and greed, which is idolatry. Because of these, God's wrath is coming upon the disobedient, and you once walked in these things when you were living in them. But now put away all the following: anger, wrath, malice, slander, and filthy language from your mouth. Do not lie to one another, since you have put off the old self with its practices and have put on the new self. You are being renewed in knowledge according to the image of your Creator. So Paul pretty much lists out some different forms of idolatry. He says sexual immorality, impurity, lust, evil desire, and greed. And that list is not just limited to those things. It can be a huge list of things that in modern times we make idols of. You know, it doesn't have to just be those things. So essentially, a modern definition of idolatry is anything that replaces God. It can be a ton of different things. And we see in Exodus 20, verse 3, it says, do not have other gods besides me. God was very clear in that. And so you may be wondering, well, what type of modern day idols do we have, right? Well, here are some modern forms. So we have our careers, right? People love their jobs. Now, of course, some people don't, but you know what I'm saying. There are many people whose identities are wrapped in their job. So people love the praise that comes from having a high, a position, a very high position in a job, you know, whether you're a CEO of something or a director, a senior director, you know, we like talking about our jobs and what we do. And so sometimes that can be a form of idolatry. Another form is chasing money, right? You may feel that you aren't content with what you have. You want more money so you can spend it all on yourself. You want to obtain material things. That's a form of idolatry. Seeking attention. So we might crave other people's acceptance and the glory that they give us. We see that a lot with celebrities. They may say they don't care what people think, but their social media posts and their actions say differently. And it's not just limited to celebrities. We ourselves fall into this trap of seeking and craving attention, and that can be a form of idolatry. Another thing is obsessively playing video games, obsessively watching TV, obsessively scrolling on social media, obsessively watching sports. Sex can be an idol. It's so many things, almost to the point where I could say anything can become an idol. And it goes back to that definition of, anything that replaces God is more of a modern definition of idolatry. And I can even say it applied for back in the Bible days as well. Anything that replaces God, that is a form of idolatry. Now, I don't want to make it seem as though I'm judging anybody. So I want to talk about my struggle. So earlier this year, God blessed me with a new great job. It's a much higher paying job. And I, initially the first couple of months, I was spending a lot of money, and it was primarily because I felt deprived after so many years of working and not being able to afford stuff. Finally being able to just go to, I don't know, Hobby Lobby and buy something without having to check my budget was like, oh my God, like I can actually buy things now, right? And while the stuff that I was buying may not have been like something sinful, I still was obsessed with buying. And it's like I had to get it out of my system. Like I just had to buy it all because I had money. And so I fell into that trap. Whenever I got paid, I get like this feeling inside like, oh, what am I going to buy now? And so it was just like chasing after material things because I could afford it. So one morning I was reading about the Israelites and about their idolatry and how God called their idolatry or those gods that they worshiped, he called them worthless idols, right? And so it brought up to my mind, like, had the things that I had been buying, this constant buying stuff, had that become an idol for me? Was I putting as much money into my local church as I was putting into buying these things? The answer was no. I was buying a lot of stuff and not really giving as much money to the church. I wasn't donating to any charities or anything. It was just, hey, what else can I get for myself? So after God kind of revealed that to me, I began to be more intentional with my spending. And I can say over the past 3 or 4 months, things have gotten much better in that area. So I am trying to do away with impulse buys. And I can kind of say in a way it's been a bit easier because there are some things that I had been wanting for a while that I went ahead and bought, and now I'm like, I don't have to buy a lot of stuff. It's not like I'm trying to buy another new car, or trying to upgrade my house and get eight bedrooms and all of that. It was just like little things here and there that I just kept wanting to get. And so I've been trying to calm down on those impulse buys, and I must say I've gotten much better at it. I think it's good to be intentional in how we spend our money. And so that's kind of been the thing for me over the past few months, is being more mindful of my spending and learning to not, just because God blessed me with a job doesn't mean that I have to spend all my money or on random stuff, and I shouldn't. I should be using that to, further God's church and put more money into the church, which I've started doing. So really God stepped on my toes, and it led to me making some changes in that area. one thing that I, had to tell myself is that life is not always perfect, right? Life is a journey. And as Christians, we are becoming more and more like Christ. So I allow him to step on my toes when, make me uncomfortable when I'm doing something that I shouldn't. And he brings those things to mind. And it's up to me, it's up to you to make a decision on whether you want to be obedient to God or if you're going to continue going down the path of allowing things to be an idol in your life. Now, it's okay for us to have hobbies. I'm not saying that you can't watch TV. I'm not saying that you can't watch a football game. That's not what I'm saying. I just think it's important to have self-control and to have, do things in moderation, right? It's okay for us to have hobbies. We just shouldn't let hobbies have us, right? The only one that should have us is God. So we need to be mindful of that. But I will say, this is just a warning. When you're targeting any idols in your life, if you decide to be obedient and go down this path of targeting idols, be aware that there might be another one that might try and pop up. So you might say, okay, I'm going to stop obsessively watching the news because that has become an idol for me. I find myself thinking about the news all day. I find myself just being led by the media, right? So you say, I'm going to stop watching the news. Then you find yourself on social media. You find yourself scrolling all day. So it's like the social media scrolling has replaced the news. And that's kind of what I was dealing with, over the past few years of trying to take out these idols in my life. One idol would be taken care of, or I'd be working on getting rid of that, and then another one would try and sneak into its place. So there should be another idol should not be replacing the former idol, right? Only God should replace that. He should have his rightful place in your life. So I really encourage you to do an inventory of the gods in your life. If you can't figure out any, ask God, ask the Holy Spirit to reveal to you those things that you have made an idol, and you'd be surprised. It might be something really small or something you think is small, but it turns out that it's actually an idol. And I'm still in process with this. God reveals new things to me every day. So I'm just encouraging you to also do an inventory of things in your life that may be an idol. And God will reveal those things to you. And like I said earlier, it's up to you on whether you want to be obedient or not. But I would highly encourage you to be obedient to God, because God only wants the best for us. And we don't need to be worshiping or prioritizing or making anything more important than God. So I hope that this video has been helpful for you. Once again, I said that I'm in the process of learning how to cut out these idols, and I know that you can do it as well. So let's get on this journey together and put those man-made things in their rightful place and put God in his. Thank you so much for watching. Please like, comment, subscribe. I would truly appreciate that. I will be doing more videos like this one, so be on the lookout. Thanks so much for watching.